And we continue with next presentation by Alexei from Corient, and he'll tell us how to upgrade EKS clusters. Hope you enjoy.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. I hope lunch was tasty. And what people want after lunch is a story. I'll tell you the story. Okay, again, my name is Alexei. I work for a startup absorbed by international corporation. Our DevOps department is not yet big enough for strict specialization. Generally speaking, there's a bunch of jacks of all trades taking care of the infrastructure, and kube clusters are in assortment. Okay, it was not only the introduction, but also the start of the story I want to share. So, one fine day, you stumble upon a post of version of 1.xx is no more supported. You can see, you probably have seen this picture yesterday in a presentation about TouchDept. Probably we have it. So the story is definitely common. I want to admit the really positive name this site has. I don't see, but it's end of life. Okay. I recommend to visit it and stick around because there may be something else important which is also outdated. Back to the topic, we got the confirmation that the cluster is of outdated version now. I mean 1.21. And our cloud provider gives us in Q&A the recommendations to do it as quick as possible because they tell that they can upgrade the control plane anytime. So automatic upgrade can happen at any time after the end of support date. That's such a good news. But by the way, I can tell it's a bit exaggeration because several months of staying on this version is not resulted in any upgrade. So maybe it's not so scary. Anyway, it looks like we have some problem to solve, and the deadline, as always, was for tomorrow. There is also one more thing worth mentioning. It's compliance, all those audits, certifications, you name it. It's less scary, but also can add motivation for us. You got the idea on a picture. Luckily, we have managed Kubernetes. This is not much to worry about upgrade. It should be quick and easy. We can rely on support of provider and experience of community. If you can hear some sarcastic notes in my speech, this is quite reasonable. This is what it is. About community, this is we won't give up, okay? And we have a huge number of allies. You can see how many people are. It's not seen, but Kubernetes is a huge project with lots of stars. This is, I want to share one of my favorite issues it has. I want to notice the creation date is 2090. And still it's all over to make it live again. I will return to this issue later. Knowledge is a power, and that's why, indeed, so let's prepare well. All the information sources are helpful for us. I can name the release notes, provider upgrade documentation, Medium articles, Slack channel, local community, etc. What you can get to get the knowledge. Tooling tools are also really important. You should not have many tools, but this diversification is really good. I have small words, I cannot read it. Oh. It's good to have a plan B. If something goes wrong with one of these tools, equally important to know well each other. I can tell about Terraform, all kinds of CDKs. Now we have for infrastructure as a code, debugging tools. There's a tools to dive into runtime. It's CDebug, it's kubectl debug. After version 1.22 with ephemeral containers, it's available. I'll return to it also. Networking tools, I stumbled upon KubeShark, port forwarding. You can use as a general way to bring network closer. Access UIs, OpenLens, Kubernetes, kubectl. I guess there are a lot more, but my three is this. Audit tools, it's Kubant, it's kubectl deprecation, and others. It's a snippet from OpenLens with notes. Among all that tools bring us is a possibility to automate repetitive actions. Parts of the process can take some time, so automate the more the better. It can lower fatigue, freeing more mental abilities for us for debugging. We definitely will need it. Just a second again. The time to upgrade the control plane was mentioned in a previous presentation was yesterday, I believe, from Grafana, from guy from Grafana. He did really well, describing all the stuff you can do to lower the downtime. What I can add is that control plane of version 1.20 took near 35 minutes. It's only the control plane. And now modern versions, I guess it's near 10 minutes, like this round. So it's getting better. Approaches about updating workers was described. I said about it. For stateless stuff, I can maybe repeat, but show the screen. This is what Instance Refresh, it's AWS, provides for us a way to restart node groups automatically. There are parameters to take care, because it can it's a bit tricky to tweak it to your needs, to restart the way you want. Of course, it frees us, again, some mental abilities and time to sip of coffee or tea and glance into the distance. Upgrade all the gears around Kubernetes. You all know this meme, it's famous. The question is this middle picture. It can contain any icons I can guess, I can imagine. Different companies have different sets of this. What I can advise is to rely on Helm charts, modules, and which community builds, which the company brings this product provides, and not create your bicycles. It's better to apply forces like this in helping the community. Okay. I mean it. You should upgrade all the stuff, all the gears. This is my personal pain. I've missed some stuff to upgrade, and I can tell it was Nginx breaking changes, Nginx controller for Kubernetes breaking changes, and it was quite painful, this missing. What I show here is the ordinary zoo of tools many companies have. Fair amount of Helm charts I use from Artifact Hub. These are two screens from Artifact Hub. There are only 2 pages from the hub I have here, but I have more start, which I'm using. I can advise it like a place to store and get configuration. They have self-installation, self-hosted variant, but I haven't tried it though. I believe it's also fine. They didn't pay me. Okay, so what we have now is this is a plethora of software installed into cluster. And here is how we can cope with this zoo using as a Terraform, as an infrastructure as a code. I can recommend to install infrastructure charts also with TF. You can see it for Autoscaler, a bit another approach for Carpenter. I guess here will be another presentation, I guess more deep about Carpenter. I also adopted it, but it's a special case. It needs more time. What I can warn about is this Helm Terraform provider is not feature-rich. It has poor connection with Helm itself. They brought experimental flag to turn the plan, I guess, to describe of the plan. But if you turn these experiments, it's crashed. So I guess we should wait for some more integration, so not to be forced to switch from Terraform to the Helm command itself. Another question, another important and a bit philosophical question is, it was already was raised in this conference. This is to pin or not to pin. What to not or pin? I mean, MI IDs. These are images of worker nodes operation system. And what I can advise with it, generally not pin. And the reason why not, the platform itself, EKS I mean, have upgrades inside version. And it happens sporadically. They do it when they want, and you are not ready to fight with such an upgrade. That's why to leave the AMI IDs open, and at least, okay, it has another downside that you can stumble upon bad AMI, but you are ready. You are now in the computer. You can deal with it. And the platform drifts away when you are, I don't know, resting. This is about AMI IDs. Another question is modules. The general advice, TTF models, I mean, to Terraform models, versions, I can advise to leave some more variations for core modules, for example, VPC, for example, AWS module, and strictly pin the final version of what you're installing. For example, controller, LB controller, for example. This way you leave some patch possibilities and stuff for what's moving inside of minor version, and strictly pin version of what you installed with Helm, for example. So there is no actually the general answer to this question. It all depends. It depends. This is kind of obvious. What is written upgrade is atomic action, so you must prepare also mentally. I don't know, positive approach, no interference, sleep well, eat well, plan ahead, enjoy the process. I guess those who are survive in IT sphere are well aware of mental techniques to have, so probably everybody has his own recipe for this. What can go wrong during upgrades? It's again question of rhetorical nature. Nobody knows. What we ask, whom we ask the stupid or rhetorical questions nowadays, it's ChatGPT. Now, I asked it just to measure how many endpoints I didn't get the statistic somewhere else, but it, or he or she, replied me that there are around 500 endpoints in Kubernetes for version 1.22 at least. I will share now the most annoying and probable troubles you get into upgrading. The first is control plane upgraded and nodes are not registered. It's quite annoying. What to do next? Probably get to another level. You cannot discover the problem from the level it appeared. That's why we should go to a rabbit hole to get into kubelet logs. Probably, very probably, it will be there, or maybe access operation system in a ways I've described. It's SSM. It's from AWS. What else? SSH. It's a golden standard. Ncenter also is a tool to reach nodes. And probably there are also other ways. I do it this way. What else can happen? It's issues. Issues. Here, the one of issues I've faced, and here we got add-ons. Add-ons vs Helm charts. This now not a problem, but a question arose to still use Helm charts or switch to add-ons, which provider gives us. There will be some more about this topic. Also, airbag changes. I don't know why it so often happened, but with each of upgrades, probably you have to tune something in airbag. I hope this is because Kubernetes becoming more secure. Tips. I can give some tips for upgrade. It also, wait a second, I've lost my cursor. It's really dependent on applications, frameworks, stacks you are using, these tips. But what I can tell that some workloads need special care. I can name stateless but still critical for start of other pod services. It's like registries, it's automation around credentials. It's probably clustered, so the troubles are solvable, but they need special care. You cannot just remove all the nodes simultaneously. Cluster can crash. You should do it special way. Also, stateful stuff may require attention. Special for zone awareness, because PVCs are zone dependent, and you should at least play with PVC bindings if you have important data inside your PVCs. Maybe the transition to explicit storage classes will also bring us, actually what it did, bring us some more work to do. What I can advise here is mark your kettle. You know, this approach to treat the nodes or VMs as a kettle, not a pets. Sometimes it's useful to mark your kettle. I can advise use role annotation. It's visible in most of the Kubernetes GUIs, and that's why you can guess what's in this node, and it sometimes may speed up what are you doing. There may be downside that you cannot mark these roles on a start of a node. I tried, but it fails because Kubelet refuses to mark any, to put any annotations except of well-known. This is, I don't know how to deal with. Maybe it's by design. We shouldn't touch on the start annotations because master annotation probably is important. But anyway, it is possible to mark. Deprecations. There's not much to say about deprecations. Many tools available. It can help deal with the deprecations in more systematic way. Another approach I know is to turn off the APIs which will be deprecated before the upgrade, and with parameters for kubelet, and to get the troubles before upgrade. Not to, it may be beneficial to make the scope of upgrade smaller. I haven't tried this approach yet, but there is also such advice in documentation. Also, I must admit false positives. This deprecation search tools Kubant gives. Sometimes I guess it's because it gathers information from last applied configuration annotation, and it may be false positive. It states that there is deprecation, but there is not. So check it. What else? Make sure your system is well observed. Metrics from the authors of tools is a must. It's not easy process to deal with metrics, all these metrics we have. There was interesting presentation on Friday, I guess, how to become a hero of those metrics. It's definitely worth to invest time, so it will save time dramatically in the future. I must admit, KubeState metrics, this is golden standard. There's a dashboard. There are not only the basic one, Mixins, I guess they named Grafana dashboards. There are also more modern, fine-tuned. I advise to use it. Kube events. Kubernetes events is quite underestimated source, underestimated source of information, I think, and vainly. Some tools write events in addition to events from the kube system itself. I can tell about spot interruptions, for example. What else? In addition to looking at events in kubeaccess tool, you can also put it to some system for better observability and analysis. Both manual and automated analysis, I mean. I can advise the kube event exporter as an agent. Its support of data destinations is quite broad. I use Slack and OpenSearch. Here is kube event exporter, nice tool. Kubelet and container logs. Here is a FluentBit. It is a tool I also can recommend for gathering logs from nodes and containers. Not all tools are producing The problem is not all tools are producing metrics good enough to observe. For example, ALB controller, AWS, is a good example of when it's not. Logs with proper analysis can help. There are other agents to gather logs, and not only FluentBit. For me, the criteria to choose is how well it can parse log of special types. FluentBit is fine, I guess, for Docker. I heard about issues with other runtimes, but I guess it's fixable. The project FluentBit, I mean, looks live. By the way, you can exclude what's too much for logging. They have notation, and then you will not receive logs for what's already monitored somehow another way, or from spamming stuff, not to consume a lot of disk space. Anomaly detection. In addition to alerts from metrics, it helps to focus on something not yet seen. Most of the observability systems have anomaly detection as an option. I know that Grafana has two paid version. Grafana of paid version has two algorithms to search for outliers in logs. AWS also promotes anomaly detection from CloudWatch. I use OpenSearch. It yet has only one algorithm. It's called Random Forest. But it works quite well, even with intuitive setup of the parameters. It has several parameters. I recommend to spend some time to understand the general idea and to trim data for analysis, this learning scope, to trim it to get more precise results, and to put such a level of notification you need. This is a broad theme, I guess. Someday I'll try to write practical advices in some Medium article and hope the promise to many people will finally motivate me to somehow write about these anomaly detectors. I use this. What's the picture? It's originally this Patrick Star is running in circles. This is a trap of running in circles. I want to warn you, if you got in some problem with upgrade, for example, sometimes you see something new, something unseen before, and the tendency is to try to fix it in running in circles. For me, it was encrypted message in log. I should found a way how to decode it and read it and get into the level you need to go to understand the problem and fix it. So here is the kind of conclusion. What for we did all those upgrades, except compliance and provider cost risks. I can describe which are my points. It's for usability. Add-ons for EKS, it's something we have now. Ephemeral containers, what I wanted to return to, it brings us the command kubectl debug, and probably many people have some kind of technical container to access cluster, to debug something, maybe distroless images, another way. Now we have command kubectl debug. Those who upgraded to 1.22, I guess, it gives a possibility to run any tool you need and attach it to already existing pod. This way it's a broad Swiss Army knife. You can put any tool you want for debugging. What else? Runtimes, Docker shim removal, containerd, CRI-O, and others. This is what we got. Maybe it will bring It's for sure bring some diversification between runtimes, because Docker is not a must now. We can choose whatever runtime we want, and also it has lower footprint. It does what it does. It's Unix way. CNI, CSI, it's about switching from in-tree vendor-locked stuff into more classes for storage interface, for networking. It's also good, I think. What's admission controllers? It's about security. They are out of the box now. What else I expect is a gateway APIs. It will replace or maybe complement another networking approaches, load balancers, I mean. And also node lock access via Kubernetes API. It's promised in 1.27, I guess. And it will make unnecessary of what I've done with exporting logs from kubelet nodes. It will be out of the box. I hope so. So what I can tell, the system is evolving. Deprecation schema designed for gradual changes helps us to cope with breaking changes. Things baked in the code base converted into explicit classes, vendor lock are gone. We should run twice faster, though, for all this become true. I guess it's time for questions.
Perfect. I've got one, if I may. Do you prefer like taking baby steps when upgrading EKS clusters, like rolling through the minor versions, or you leave some bigger changes and do the major steps, or you even skip some versions when upgrading, because the release cycle is like every 3 months. So if you don't have dedicated team just for upgrading your clusters, you'll basically stale at any point of time. So how do you approach this?
That's a good question. Sometimes I skip versions upgrading. For example, from 21, from 19th it was 21, 22. It went fine, but quite risky. It's all because what you said. We don't have special team for upgrades, and we were just late. But it's possible. The worker node. From 1.22 will start. The nodes from 1.19 will stay alive on an upgraded cluster, and after some time, after upgrade, the new ones start fine. So the general answer sometimes is skip versions.
Yeah, okay. And regarding all the ecosystem around, if you use Istio, stuff like that, do you prefer to train the upgrade on some lab cluster, which you set somewhere aside, or you just do your dev clusters with all the applications developed in there, or you prefer to test it on an empty cluster?
I get the question. My recipe is to kind of move these upgrades rolling from the dev cluster throughout demo, something more or less prod-like, but something like prod-like, and finally on a production. Thus, you will have all this stuff through the problems. Dev clusters have some error budget. The next is with lower budget, the prod. I hope we reach with some experience.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much. Any questions in the audience? Well, nope. And I think we don't have any on the Slido. Yeah. So, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.